Hello, this is Kerry Siders with the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service, the IPM program in Hockley, Cochran, and Lamb counties. Well, it's Thursday, September 17th, and we're about a week out since that weather event last week where it got so cold for a few days. Unfortunately, we didn't receive much moisture here in the Levelland area, in much of the service area that I cover, but a lot of calls about what's going on with this cotton, why it's turning brown, why it looks so poor. Was it freeze damage? Was it disease? The primary cause was not either one of those. We only got down to about 38 degrees. Yes, that we can see symptoms of disease out here, some verticillium wilt, maybe even some bacteria blight, but that's not the primary cause of why this cotton looks so poor. This particular field is a drip field where the water was shut off around September the 6th, just during that Labor Day weekend. So a few days prior to that weather event, this water was shut off. Now, I'm not saying this cotton was stressed up to that point, but it did have a little bit of stress, understanding that drip cotton this year, because of the drought and high temperatures, was so dependent on that drip tape. And once that water was shut off, it really had no reserves. There was probably very little stored in the soil profile. That cotton plant had pretty well used it up to the day that it was shut off. There was probably some, but now had we had some moisture during that weather event, we wouldn't be seeing this extreme situation of this leaf being desiccated and curling, and right now a good amount of it's starting to fall off. Now the other thing, when you look at this, a lot of these leaves are either in the upper half or they're on the kind of the periphery of the plant. You'll notice a lot of times the east-west rows are a lot worse than north-south rows. So I think what we're looking at here is really wind, the velocity of the wind, which really for more than 12 to even up to 20 hours, we had over 30 plus mile an hour wind, and they were dry winds, they were cold winds. So yeah, you could probably call it wind chill burn, but just desiccating winds. And it really shows up in a lot of areas of the field, with the exception, as we look in this field, we look over here where there was a leak in the irrigation. Of course, the cotton's a little bit bigger, but it was unaffected by the winds compared to other areas of the field. And so it has to be related then also to water stress that the field went under. So this is a drip field. If you look at a center pivot irrigated field, I suspect that where the water was shut off, again in that Labor Day time frame, Labor Day around the 4th or so of September, I'm not saying that was early, but it may not have had enough in reserve to get it through this weather event. If you look in front of the pivot, we probably see these kind of conditions versus that's behind the pivot that was watered last may not be as severe. Long-term impact, unfortunately, I am seeing some regrowth. Losing that leaf may cause some regrowth, and particularly if we get some additional moisture. So we've got to be really careful there not to encourage regrowth. I think that the plant is going to go ahead and finish out in terms of maturing those bolls, so they'll be of sufficient quality and quantity that we won't see it reflected too much in yield and grades. But and in fact, I guess if you look on the bright side, it may have conditioned the plant. It's almost like it did have a freeze, or it might have had a light application of paraquat where it kind of conditioned that plant, opened it up a little bit, and may allow that plant to finish out a little quicker. We'll see how it responds to harvest aids here in a few weeks, but I think what we're seeing is not a disease problem, not freeze, but just simply a little bit of water stress going into that weather event, and then high desiccating winds that basically burn those leaves. This is Kerry Siders. Have a good day.